I don't know why I'm giving us intro music. Even though we already have intro
After the
music.
intro you just heard.
Welcome. Okay, so one thing I've noticed in podcasts is like you have the ones with intro music or the like previews, or you have ones that just like jump right into it. And you know what? Like I feel like I like to warm up. Like I like to, it's probably just the radio show left in us, right? But I'm like, we need a little yeah.
Preamble. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that about it.
Hey, it's been quite a fucking week.
Welcome back.
Uh, the demons, am I right? Last week's episode,
That's it.
you saw published on a Thursday, lol. So now you're getting another episode like 4 days later. Hope you loving that. We love you. And also the demons have been out to fucking get me and Olivia. So that's just where we're at. Always. What's the English words I'm looking for? Always pursued. Woo. Cannot remember. Kept wanting to say it in Spanish.
Ooh.
Always pursued by the demons. But we have escaped once again. And we're here now.
To bring you a surprisingly relevant episode, given that we have been haunted once again this season. We're talking about woo-woo shit today.
Yep, and that's our very eloquent description of everything that we're about to talk about, which is a lot. I have brought with me today to begin our episode, and obviously our listeners can't see it, but I will show you. I have just acquired 2 of the most interesting crystals I have ever seen and now own. I will show them to Olivia. This is like look at him. He's a skull,
is that
but a shell.
A selenite or something else?
I want to say it's a girl. I don't know. It's a clear quartz. It's a pretty fucking rock, is what it is. But are you ready for this? This is actually my. Ta-da! Ta-da!
Whoa!
He is the size of my head, and I love him.
What?
If you're listening to this and you're like, what the fuck is Camilla holding? I will put it in the preview.
I just can't even describe it.
It is a skull head into fish skeleton crystal. It weighs a couple pounds, and my daughter picked it out when we were at a crystal whatever. I was really torn between this and another one, and she grabbed this one, and I've kept it on my desk ever since. It's heavy and it's beautiful and I love it, and it's my favorite crystal I've ever owned because it's so fucking weird. So let's start the conversation about crystals. Do I believe that the rocks that I keep near me will magically fix my whole life? No. But I feel about crystals the same way I feel about a lot of woo-woo shit. And that is that if it's the placebo effect, I'm okay with that. If it's my own confirmation bias saying, I have this rock in my pocket, and so now I feel braver or more centered or grounded or happier or whatever, okay. I feel like sometimes people try to gotcha those sort of things, crystals, astrology, whatever, where they're like, well, actually, and I'm like, yeah, there's plenty of us out there that don't think, like, I'm not out here being like, no, it's the, like, could be. It could be my confirmation bias. It could be a placebo effect, and I don't care. It's not that I'm unaware. It's that I genuinely don't give a rat's ass if that's what it is, because I'm happier either way. So, like, what's the harm? What's the harm?
I 100% agree with that, because you can believe in science, space exploration, vaccines, and still feel comforted by, like you said, a shiny rock in your pocket. And I, for a while, this was before I was medicated for depression, I used to wear crystal bracelets that were very specific stones, And when I didn't have them on, it was like, oh my God, I do feel different. And that probably was a placebo effect. Like, I'm not going out here telling people to not be medicated if you're having a mental health crisis.
Right.
Um, but there was something about the the crystal bracelets, or like wearing different pieces of jewelry. Like, I have a lot of, my big stones. I like my rings, and I do feel kind of a sense of power when I wear just big fucking rocks. And I feel cooler as a person and more confident because I'm wearing something shiny. That's like the fish brain in me, I guess. But I think it's totally valid to have some connection to the crystals. And like, don't even get me started on like the crystal like shops, and resisting the urge to buy a bag of rocks every time I go somewhere, and it's like, oh, this type of rock is for
This.
you know what I mean? Where it's like, this rock has this property, or you know?
Well, I think that there's such a difference between, like, let's separate out the two issues, which is, I think, truly like a consumerism commerce issue where a lot of these practices, first of all, a lot of these practices originate in like indigenous teachings or in other cultures and have been kind of like co-opted into this like specific brand of person, but also like it has lent itself to some
Mm-hmm.
predatory like sales and marketing tactics, like very deprivation based whatever. You know what I think of when I think about that? I think of the TikToks that they're like, if you're seeing this on July whatever, um type claim to claim the energy, right? And I'm like, okay, listen,
Yeah.
I don't disagree that you could put a message out into the world and be like, the algorithm will take you where it needs to go kind of vibe. Sure. But I don't think that me typing or not typing claim does anything, because that's a sales technique. That's a marketing thing. That's a hook to get you to engage with a piece of content, a piece
Mm-hmm.
of media, so that your content continues to grow. And so I think people have issues differentiating that. And I think that a lot of people who are really interested and genuinely like intrigued, or like you said, I love the word that you use the word comfort. Like the people who are seeking comfort or answers or certainty or whatever often get preyed upon by that. And I think that like ethical, morally sound practitioners of any kind of quote woo woo shit, whether that's tarot or, um, fucking numerology, or I'm trying to think of like, human design or whatever. Ethical practitioners of anything
Reiki.
will continue to be ethical practitioners of anything, right? And so it's the way that someone handles money. I'd love to talk about my psychic now. You can see that I'm really with it today.
Love it.
Okay, let me tell you about my psychic. So my psychic's name is Mal. I love her. And before you're like, oh my god, a psychic, because again, I think that it like these words and these concepts carry a really stigmatized thing. Like I say my psychic, and people are like, they automatically assume a couple things about me. One, that I don't believe in science and probably have an unvaccinated child. Two, that I've blown my life savings in trying to like get answers. Three, that is probably like an infomercial guy like named like Sultan of, you know what I mean, with like a very weird name, like Zoltar kind of vibe, and he's
Mm-hmm.
has a crystal ball in that kind of very Hollywood-esque vibe. That couldn't be farther from the truth if you knew my psychic. Mel is not that in the slightest. First of all, Mel talks about how her like entrance into a lot of like spirituality and like these sort of concepts came when her fiance died, and in like communicating with him and in like feeling his presence and whatnot, is kind of like what brought her into this work. Mel's also like a huge, I don't think that she would have an issue with me saying that. Nah, she wouldn't have an issue with me saying this on air. Um, but Mel is a really big psychic in LA and in Hollywood, and she's had plenty of like A-list celebrity clients, and she has different pricing for average people than she does have for celebrities. Not because the work is any different, but because she doesn't believe in restricting or like gatekeeping that to a person of significant financial means and having that be the only people that can access. And I'm not going to go out here and name names and name the clients of hers that I know of, or who we've talked about, because I don't feel like that's necessary. But suffice to say, like, her pricing is very different. If you're a regular schmegular person like me and, you know, an A-list celebrity of the world. So what I mean that to say is, like, that's one of the things that I find like really important is when someone is, because I don't necessarily believe that all this stuff should just be free and we should ignore that money and like whatever. No, like for sure, like pay people for the readings, pay people for the work that they do, whatever kind of work that is. But I do think that it's important to look at how is someone investing in other people, right? What kind of people do they hire? What kind of teams do they lead? What does their business practice look like? What do their sales tactics look like? What does their marketing? Is their marketing purely deprivation focused? Is it, if you don't work with me or you don't get whatever it is that they're selling from me in this moment, like you don't really like love yourself kind of vibe, like that? Red flag on anyone. Someone selling me a car or someone
Mm-hmm.
selling me like Reiki. Or is their vibe and their focus and their overall process like grounded? Is it acknowledging the hard work that they put out into the world, but also, you know, giving you agency to decide if it's for you or not for you or whatever? Like that, I think is the big difference. And I think for me, I've gotten a lot of comfort. I think I talked about in past episode that like I had a year where a lot of people in my life died, and that was one of like the most fascinating sessions I've had with Mel, was right after that, and the conversation that we had after that. And I felt really comforted. And so I would love to offer or pose the question, like, why is it that no one, or I guess less people, I'm not going to say no one, but why would less people judge me for going to a priest or a pastor or some religious head for comfort in a conversation and a dialogue in a moment of crisis or emotional or spiritual need? But I will get judged for saying, you know, on the internet that I have a psychic. Is it just the money part of it? Because if it is, then like,
Mm.
okay. But like priests make money, like pastor, and you still like you, if you tied to a church or whatever, like they're still getting paid somehow. I would argue not well in many churches, but that's a different point for a different day, a different episode. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like people have such like people are so judgy when it comes to quote spirituality, where they do not have that kind of judgment when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to a lot of religious topics or just the belief that people have in religion. At the end of the day, who like if what you believe grants you comfort, peace, joy, community, right? We have to remember that a lot of these spaces connect us to other people,
Mm-hmm.
like belonging. Like if your whatever gives you that, then who fucking cares? If it's, unless you're hurting someone, okay? I'm not talking about the Westboro Baptist Church, all right? It's not what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
all of that comes with a caveat. Yeah.
You know, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why people are so fucking judgy about it, which is why maybe I'm so like open about it. And I think back in the day, I used to hire more people like in that realm. I used to do more of that, like kind of spiritual work. And a lot of my work has been very internal for the past couple of years, but it doesn't make me any less intelligent. It doesn't make me any less informed. It doesn't make me any less dedicated to activism or social justice or like the beliefs that I have to also get comfort in whatever. Because I think that the danger is going so far. You know what I mean? You go so far, which I think we could, you know, talk about the new age to alt right pipeline, which is strong at this in this day and age. However, like provided you're not doing that either, like again, what's the fucking harm? Why do people care so much about what other fucking people do in the privacy of their own homes?
I have wondered about that a lot. I had a coworker slash friend at my last job who, and this is where like I want to get into, maybe not right this second, but like part of this conversation definitely needs to be about the intersection of spirituality and gender, because that's a big part of this too, I think,
Mm,
especially when it comes
okay.
to the messaging and the marketing, you know? But anyway, I had a notably male coworker at my older job who was so, I'm going to use the word triggered, and I don't mean it in like a genuine mental health crisis
Ooh, she
sense. I
said
mean just like
triggered.
irritated. I trigger. I'm misusing psychological, but you know what I mean. Like would get
Hella
up in
activated.
arms whenever I or anyone, hella yes, activated. There we go. Who would get upset when anyone in the space he was in was talking about something astrological. This same person was interested in tarot cards, which I found interesting. And there's, you know, a lot of history behind the game and the symbols, yada yada. But what got me was the consistent dismissal and like discounting, disapproval of anything that was happening with astrological signs or movement of planets. And this person's shtick was always just like, it's not scientific. It's, you know, there's not something that proves because you were born in this place on this date at this exact time that your personality is going to be blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. And yeah, okay, sure. But if that's the only argument, like if the only thing that you're against is that it's not it's not backed by science, well,
It's not peer reviewed,
there's a lot
Olivia.
of stuff that isn't. It's yes. And that like just let people believe what the, you know, like I don't have anything solid to compare it to, but it
No,
just
you know what it
seems
is? It's people
I don't
being
know.
angered because outsiders believe that people who believe in astrology or whatever like have it's so funny because it's the same thing that quote spiritual people have about religious folks, which is everyone look from the outside looking in. Okay, I won't say everyone. My shit comes with caveats. Anyways, disclaimers, disclaimers. Nah, nah, nah. But people assume that the other side is complacent. I think, again, in my opinion, and assume that the
Mm,
other side is deterministic in the sense, I don't know actually if that's the right word. English major can correct me here, but assume that the other side has decided that their life, their fate, their whatever, their actions like have way less impact than insert here, right? Like God or religion or
mhm.
whatever. And on the other side, astrology or numerology or whatever. When it's actually like
Mhm.
couldn't be farther from the truth. I think that I've encountered, and I will say in my personal experience on my tiny little slice of the world, I've encountered much more openness to the idea that you have to do the work. Like you can quote manifest whatever, but at the end of the day, if you're not putting in the work, like that shit doesn't happen. I'd love to compare it to the following story, the following parable, if you will, which is that a guy is like, "Hey God, like I want to be rich." And he prays and he prays and he wants to like win the lotto. And he's like, "Hey God, like I want to win the lotto." Like, and he prays and he prays and he prays, whatever. Eventually, the dog dies. He's poor. And he gets to heaven and he's like, God, like, I prayed to you so many times and you didn't answer. And God's answer is like, yeah, I heard you, but you never bought a ticket.
Mm,
So I think
mm-hmm.
that for
Yeah,
me
and
is
that's the
like,
same way.
you got to do it. You still got to do it. You still got to show up. Like you can pray for blessings, you can do all these things, but at the end of the day, you still have whatever side you look at it, like you still have free will. You still have the ability to change your life in either a positive or whatever, or live your life in a positive or a kind way or a horrible and mean way. And I think that people get really caught up in the idea of like, you just do this one thing, you pray or you affirm or you look at your sign and you're like, oh, how's my week going to be? And then you do nothing else. But that's not actually like how it's meant to be used.
Exactly. I'm a huge believer in working with the energy. That's the start of my woo woo for today. I don't think that if you are a person who is into astrology and if you're on CoStar or whatever, if you're reading your horoscope for the day or following whatever planets are in retrograde or Lilith or whatever, that it has to be, it's not guaranteed that those things are going to happen either in the world or to you. And if there's an outcome that you're reading about in your horoscope or watching a YouTube video or whatever, if there's something that you want, yeah, you do have to still make an effort to get that result. It's not just like it's for me it's the same as if you're praying for something and then nothing happens because you've just been, waiting for it rather than taking action to do something. Astrology works the same way. If you read something in your horoscope for the next 10 years that's like, you're going to be so happy and successful and surrounded by loved ones, but then you sit on your phone all day doing nothing and talking to no one, then yeah, it's not going to manifest. There's a line for me between like manifesting and doing the work. I think it has to be both
Mm-hmm.
where you can, I mean, that's us. Like dream big and plan for the things that we want to happen while actively doing things to move it along.
Yeah, 100%. Like you have to, it's actually like what, again, viewers at home can't see it, but Olivia can. That's what this tattoo is about for me because I feel like life is about pulling towards what you want, like pulling it towards you. I have a tattoo for reference. I have a tattoo of a guy pulling like a cord, and then there's a boat on the other end. But at the same time, you also have to sometimes just ride the fucking waves because life will fucking go nuts sometimes, and sometimes you just have to like surrender, right? It's like the concept the concept behind my tattoo. Oh my god, I sound so pretentious. Like kill me now, but um the concept behind that tattoo is active surrender because surrender isn't a passive process. It's not that I just like sit down and I'm like, well, I guess life is going to happen to me. It's a very active, like, I'm going to move myself towards direction. I'm going to, like you said, work with the energy. I'm going to take steps, like get on the fucking bus and sit down and, you know, that bus should arrive, but sometimes it's not going to, and sometimes it breaks down, and sometimes you get there, but you got there 5 years later or whatever, but you still got on the fucking bus. And I think that's what a lot of the times is missed in our conversations about like woo shitter and the way that we approach it. Because again, it's a false dichotomy, right? Like you don't have to like either believe in science or believe, like you could just not. Right? Or you don't have to be religious, quote, or spiritual. You could be both. You could happily, like my psychic, back to Mel, but Mel is Catholic and she's a practicing Catholic. And I some one time told a friend that, and she said, "Oh, well, like I couldn't do that because I wouldn't be able to pick and choose my religion. But again, I think that that's like a very narrow way to look at someone practicing their religion. Because if you really think about it, like, well, the way that I thought about it, like, what stronger vocation than to deal with spiritual energy? It's just, again, it comes back, it's just like priest work or like it's holy spiritual service, I think. And so I think our
Mm,
definitions just could be a little bit wider and are just like our openness. And like we don't have to get everything. You don't have to participate. That's my big thing. Like you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And also if you do it and you feel like a little bit better, like, okay, great. Because you never know. And here's my big thing with some things like Reiki or hypno Reiki or hypnosis or meditation or whatever, some of these things that are like considered fringe, whatever, is sometimes it's just silence. Sometimes you just need a little bit of quiet to get clarity on whatever it is that you're trying to make a decision on, or just time with yourself or whatever. Like it just gives you the space to do that in. That's still so beneficial and so healing, regardless of, you know, the depth with which you believe the philosophy surrounding it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's you know how some people get their nails done, some people get regular massages, some people see energy practitioners. Like it's there is reason to it. Like a lot of these things that our general culture still considers to be, woo woo or fringe, have roots in, like you were saying, some kind of either cultural or like indigenous practice, and they've been adopted. I think that's kind of where the this conversation is about to go in a direction.
Oh
I
boy.
think that's where this discussion of certain practices gets blurry is when people who are, I'm just going to say it, people get mad when white women start doing things that are not part of their culture, in air quotes.
Mm, what a choice of words there. Okay.
People find it
Can I
like people find it
asterisk that
inappropriate.
a lot of the times it's because the attitude with which many white women do those things is not respectful and it's not aware.
Mm.
Like I think that it's just so. First of all, you get the one, like, you get the whole, like, which Jenner was it that thought she discovered braids, right? Like, that, there's an aspect of that, of being like
Oh yeah.
the first ones, like, oh my God, this new thing, right? And it's like completely ignoring the fact that it's not new. But then I think you also get this,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that ooh, I don't know how to say this. Okay, I'm just gonna say it the way that's coming in my head. I think that white women sometimes rush to having uh superiority or a seniority complex, meaning they're not inviting people like come join me in this thing, in this practice, in this healing, whatever. They want to teach and be the teachers and be the leaders and be the elders, and like there's no, I'm not saying that you need to have deference, but I do think that you need to take time and really process healing and really understand the work and what you're doing for yourself before you a monetize it, but b declare yourself to be the knower of it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have so much respect for the the people I've seen on the internet and in person who have done that, who have taken the time to read up on the thing, to speak to authorities in that field. I'm thinking specifically like yoga and Reiki,
Hmm.
because that's a crossover, like the spirituality that can accompany yoga as a practice. And that is, it's not just important, but that I think is the way that we kind of not destigmatize, but like help people who are interested to understand that this is not just some like made up yada yada that I'm putting on TikTok. Like, this
Hmm.
is something that is valuable to people. And with things like tarot and even with crystals, there's a general consensus about what these objects or these symbols mean. And they have a consistent meaning across cultures and across languages. And I think that's something that we can just as a society, as a group of beings, get deeper into. And they're really helpful tools to understand each other better. There's my woo woo mic drop.
I think that I agree with you, and I'm gonna add something that my friend Alex said to me, which is, by the way, and I told him this the other day. So if he listened to my podcast, which he doesn't, but if he did, he would not be surprised. This
Hey.
one sentence like ruined me, and has absolutely like ruined my life in one way, and also like changed my life in a very good way in another, which is that we were talking about the fact that I have indigenous ancestry, and I'm not sure like specifics on my tribe or whatever. Like I have very general knowledge because 3 generations ago, like my great great grandfather's village was like attacked in a very violent way, and he basically like left the village as a small child with his brother, kind of knapsack it, like, that vibe. Anyways, I was talking about my search for my tribe, and which is something I get really uncomfortable about talking about because I never want to be perceived as like someone who's trying to like have something that's not quote mine, right? And so I was telling him how like
Mm-hmm.
my best friend is a genealogist. Shout out to Tom. And Tom's like, working to help me get some more clarity on like my just my familial background in general, but also like this specific question, right? Like, where does my tribe come from? Like, what language? Whatever. I was telling Alex about this, and in my head, I was like, "Ooh, I sound so impressive right now!" Like trying to. Alex is um, Alex is also indigenous, and he is very involved with his tribe, and he was like not looking very impressed when I was talking, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's cool." But if you think about it, at the end of the day, like that, I guess tribal acceptance, knowledge, whatever. He's like, I see it all the time when people come to like connect with our tribe. It's like at the end of the day, like that in and of itself, that like search for validity is colonialism in practice. Because whether you know your ancestors' history or not, they're still inside you. Your connection with the energy, with spirit, with the world doesn't change regardless of how valid, quote, your understanding of your background is. And I was like, oh.
Whoa.
And I really sat with it for like an hour and a half that day. And I've been sitting with it in pieces ever since because, like, I feel like Olivia knows details the internet will not, but for many reasons, this specific quest of mine has meant a lot to me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I what? but then I started thinking, right, this is why it like ruined my life, but also changed it in a positive way. Like, I really got to thinking, like, what is it for? And at the end of the day, I think part of it is because
Mm-hmm.
I love to know things and I would love to connect with my, if I could find, right, any remnants of my tribe. And like, I would love to feel that. But at the end of the day, it just comes from the thing that I already knew about myself, which is like a deep sense of longing for community, like a an ethnic community where I feel like I belong, because the immigrant in me has been always so like
Mm-hmm.
I'm neither there nor here nor whatever. I think that like my concept of home even is just like, so there's a lot, right? And so I feel like I wanted like a crisp, clear cut answer. Like, this is where you come from, Camilla. This is what you can like latch onto. And I want to know more about myself. But like when I really dig into it, this conversation is not going in the direction I thought it was going to take today. But when do our conversations ever? Like when I really dig into it, I don't have to know specifics about my tribe or my ancestry to know how I feel about the earth and how I feel about spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And my ancestors and the members of my spirit team at this point in time, the people who are really not into woo shit ever are like, they left a long time ago, but if they didn't already, they'd be gone now.
Yeah.
But like those, like those things are still flowing through me. The knowledge is still here. The instincts, right? Alex told me that instinct, and this is where you can tell like he has lots of experience in leading people through like spiritual undertakings. But um, he was like, instinct is just spirit and your ancestor telling you like where to go. And I was like, because like all it just
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyways, and so I think one of the things that I'm working on right now is just like removing piece by piece, like undoing that level of need for certainty. And I think that that is so intrinsic to so many of our quests and so many of our touches and brushes with woo woo shit or with spirituality in any context is like we want answers, is what it comes down to. We want knowledge that we're going to be okay. We
Mm-hmm.
want certainty that the things that we want are going to happen. And we don't want to feel alone. We want community.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we can also
Mm-hmm.
we can still
Yeah.
participate in all these things, but we also don't need, to your point, like I don't think I need the world to consider it quote like to ascribe it some validity for me to feel good about practicing it and for me to get what I need out of it and for me to be able to impact the way that I want to impact myself, right? Like I don't need random person at the store and be like, astrology has its background. Like, I don't fucking need that for me to get what I want to get out of it, or for me to be like, oh, like that's an interesting planetary movement this week. Let me lean into that, or, take care of myself in a different way because it inspired a thought, Like, I just don't think that that's necessary. Like, I don't think the conversation is how do we make society more tolerant of this? I think the conversation is how do we get ourselves to care less about what the fuck society thinks and just do us.
Mm. As per usual, the conversation returns to individuality and how to do more of what you like for yourself. Wow, shocking between the two of us.
Wow, it's almost like it's almost like that's what we talk about all the fucking time. Even when we're not on the podcast.
Wow,
Oh
crazy.
wow, crazy.
Yeah, but I do wanna go back to that what you were saying about like inner knowing and intuition, because that is also part of this. When we say woo woo shit, we're talking about a lot of things. We've mentioned
Yes, the umbrella is
crystals,
very wide.
energy healing, general spirituality, like astrology, so many things. And there's this book that I keep getting recommended via the spiritual astrological content that I watch on the internet, and it's called Women who run with wolves, or women who run with the wolves,
It's
something like
women
that.
who
I
run
have a
with
copy.
wolves. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, women who run with wolves. And it's lauded as like the text for women who are spiritual in a very specific way to get back in touch with the divine feminine and intuition and all of that. And it's been like, for me as a woman, it's been interesting to be watching all of this content, some of which is distributed by men, like the guy that I watch on YouTube for tarot readings pretty consistently. And that's a whole other thing, like tarot readings on the internet for the collective. But it's been interesting to hear so much about the divine feminine, like feminine versus masculine energies, and how they are not in competition, but they need to work together. But the point being, there is this element of woo woo shit that is almost just like common sense sometimes when we're
Mm,
talking about intuition, or, I'm getting this energy. That's vibes. Like when people do a vibe check, that's feeling the energy in the room. Or if like my intuition is telling me blah blah blah, great, listen to that. Like there's
mm.
a reason that you're having all these feelings, and I think it's both like a bigger topic than we address a lot of the time just in regular conversation, but it also is more simple than we want to make it out to be. Like there is that consumerist element. Like I've got these cards right freaking here. There's a consumerist element that goes with it where it's like, oh, buy these oracle cards, have this crystal wand, have all of these things to aid you in your journey toward recognizing your intuition and being more in touch with your blah blah blah. Sometimes, like you were saying earlier, sometimes you just need a minute. Sometimes you just need quiet and space and time for reflection. And it's not about picking up all of these new strategies or products to figure out what's going on in your own brain.
Mm. Yeah, I think it again, it's our quest for understanding. It's our quest to academically get ourselves. And I don't think that to heal or to live or to be joyful, we need to fully understand ourselves. I am gonna say I'm gonna get on a soapbox for a brief moment to share with the listeners a very important belief in Camilla's spiritual beliefs, which is that the divine feminine and the divine masculine are absolute bullshit, anti-trans rhetoric that's just gender norms repackaged in a cutesy, here, have this with your crystals as an appetizer way. And all it does is keep us thinking the same way about the fucking world. And it's just it's the gateway drug to right wing ideology.
Oh, okay. Nice segue.
And if you knew me in the years 2019 to 2021, you are probably like, what are you fucking talking about? We had conversations about the divine feminine not being blah, blah, blah. And you know what? To everyone who told me I was wrong and full of shit back then, this is my formal apology. You were right. You were absolutely right. I have walked, I walked really deep into the woo woo coaching, spiritual goddess, whatever the fuck you want to call it, bubble in those years of my life. And I have walked really far fucking out. And I think I have genuinely understood that I, again, I was just looking for community. I was looking for a place where some of the ideas that I have about how I feel about the world and the way that the world feels to me weren't so unappreciated, unwelcome, unaccepted. And I found that for a brief time. But I also found bullshit, which again, back to the whole divine, it's just gender roles. It's repackaged gender roles. It's the idea that as women we should aim to be in our feminine energy, and we spend so much time in quote these days deep in our masculine, leading when we don't need to be leading, making decisions when we don't need to be making decisions, going hard when we need to be soft. And again, it's just fucking gender roles. It's just submission training. There is nothing spiritual about teaching people that there is like a whatever. And I'm not talking about fucking every spiritual baddie who's listening to this is like, well, what about yin and yang? Because that's everyone's fucking thing. I could see it in your eyes, Olivia. And you know what? I'm gonna be the first one to say I don't know fucking enough about yin and yang, so I'm not gonna talk on it. But what I do know is that I spent years trying to quote force myself into my divine feminine, like again, chasing this ideal of a woman who is oozing sex and softness, but like I don't fucking know what. Like some magical fucking honey was gonna float out of my fucking pores if I just surrendered enough. Fuck off. It gives no room for just who you are as a person. It is anti feminist in nature. It has so much anti trans rhetoric baked into it because you bring up just like trans identity into that, and it's like, well, the ones who have gotten quote with it will say, oh, well, you know, their inner what? Shut the fuck up. It spirit is so much more expansive than the gender binary. So why would divine personal energy be so conveniently split? And why would we ascribe all of these values, assertiveness, leadership, firmness, power, to something male oriented, if not to teach women to keep themselves smaller, more docile, more flexible to their male partners, and more just seeking a version of womanhood that does not fucking exist? And that's my soapbox.
Love. Yeah. And that, I mean, mic drop. Don't drop the mic because we like need that. But
I won't. Don't worry. Not that. Not today. Sing more. Yeah, I give myself a lot of grace to continually be learning and unlearning and diving in deep. Like you can't say your girl don't dive deep. I say this as a person who like paid thousands of dollars to get certified in fucking hypnosis and in Reiki and in a lot of shit that I don't use day to day. To be fair, I also went to college for 2 degrees that I don't use today either. So who's laughing now? But anyways, my point is, I was so steeped in that. And I think at the same time, I was coming out of some very harsh personal development, sales, like we are like constantly growing and striving and da 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 da, like that kind of environment. So I think it was a natural, like I was
it
like,
was such a hard pivot.
yeah. And so I pivoted and I went fully hardcore there. And now I feel like I found my middle ground and I feel good about it. And I will never be one to take away from that. But I had to follow a lot of people. And I, again, give myself grace, but I'm fully willing to admit that I spent a couple of years totally drinking both sides of the Kool-Aid, all sides of the Kool-Aid. I am now Kool-Aid-less. I drink only my own Kool-Aid. But I think that truly and honestly, like, it just exemplifies that people are just looking, again, people are just looking for answers. They're looking for certainty. And when you look for
Mm-hmm.
certainty outside of yourselves, like, what do you find? And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm a really religious person and I really like God is the true certainty. I mean, yes, if that's what, you know, is in your spiritual practice and in your belief system, for sure. But for a lot of people, it's not. And I think we just need to trust ourselves a little bit more. Not necessarily in a like, fuck anybody else and I only care about myself, because I think people ascribe selfishness to pursuing our own desires or our own whatever. And I would
Mm-hmm.
argue, one, selfishness isn't always bad. I mean, two, I don't know, man. Like, just I think it keeps us busy. It's busy work. It's spiritual busy work. Is this like,
Mm.
let me whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Because like most decision, and here comes, yes, I got certified in it, so now you get to like listen to me put on my little coach hat for like 4 seconds. Um, I deeply believe, and if you were a client of my coaching practice, then you know. But truly and honestly, I think the number one thing that I gained out of all of these different environments and whatever that I was in is I have realized that one of my superpowers in life, outside of how funny I am, is that I'm just an incredibly decisive person across the board.
Mm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of indecision is driven by a lack of clarity about what actually matters to us. But, and this is a huge but, as in like frame it on your fucking wall, but I don't actually think most people are unclear about their values or their desires. I think most people are embarrassed by them or think that they shouldn't want that or are scared to go after it. And so
Ooh.
they overcomplicate. I'm not saying easy, giant disclaimer, not easy, but most decisions, I believe, are fairly simple when you really boil them down. They might be hard as fuck, they might take a really long time, whatever, but they're not that complicated. Outside of a couple of things, most things can be walked back. Yes, you have a child, you can't walk that back. But if you move to a new city and it doesn't fucking work out, you know what you can do? You can move back. Is it expensive? Sure. Is it annoying? Absolutely. Will part of me feel like you failed? Maybe. Who fucking cares?
The difference between simple and easy, yeah. When we're talking about, because that's exactly it. Like why people turn to crystals or tarot or hypnosis or religion, anything like you were saying outside themselves, looking for answers, is because we don't want to do hard shit a lot of the time. There have been so many books and productivity whatever things trying to tell us how our own brains work and using neuroscience to get your brain to enjoy doing hard things. If we're doing something, if we're making a hard decision and we're delaying that because we know that the decision that's right for us is going to be hard, of course we're going to seek things that are not our own thoughts to get answers or approval of our decisions. Like you said, that people are a lot of the time, I mean, we're doing a lot of generalizing here, but if you're hesitant to share something about yourself and you're sort of like having to justify things that you care about or believe in, then like that's that's the answer, right? Like where if you're feeling like the people around you or your environment isn't going to approve of whatever decisions you're making or how you're conducting your own life, then that's it. That's the easy solution, and it's not about changing every aspect of your identity or how you present yourself to the world. You can hold on to what you believe in. It's just a matter of like who you surround yourself with, and that again aspect of community building and when we're what we're seeking when we're using these things.
Yeah, 100%. And again, we're not telling you not to use them. Because back to my beautiful newly acquired crystals from a couple weeks ago, I'm all about it, right? Like, I think for sure use it. Use whatever tools are at your disposal. Like, I fully believe that aromatherapy is really helpful for my migraine. Peppermint helps, like, it really does. But I also think that my meds do. And so I just look at it as like what's in a toolbox and what's what I need in this moment for the situation, for whatever. And at the end of the day, like the only person, this is going to sound so harsh and like definitely, I'm just thinking a lot about death, I guess, today. But at the end of the day, like at the end of your life, the only person that you're really going to have to justify your choices to, and I would argue every day of your life, is yourself. Like it matters most. And I'm not saying to be an asshole. I'm not saying to like fucking cut people off at like willy nilly or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, are you happy with what you're doing? Because that's what matters the most. Your satisfaction, your joy, your appraisal, your approval. And I would say that sometimes when we don't approve our shit, like, again, we're embarrassed or we think that we should be some other way or whatever. But like, then we could just, and when I say you could just not, I don't I'm not trying to underscore how hard that is sometimes, but I think it's worth it. It's worth it to build a life and do things that you love and that make you happy for whatever reason it is, whether that's collecting weird fish, skull rocks, or that's, hiking. For some people, that's wonderful. I don't understand it, but maybe that comes from I am at my core, I don't want to sweat. So if you're asking me to sweat, it better be for something really interesting. And I can't do it just to hike. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to get it to respect it. And maybe that's the overarching message. Like, you don't have to get it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to want to do it for yourself. But you also don't have to undermine it. You don't have to criticize it. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to devalue it. You could just let it be in all directions. Again, with a giant caveat, as long as you're not hurting anyone, as long as you know what I mean. I'm not saying like people should accept unvaccinated, whatever. No. Okay. One's a public health risk. The other is a literal rock on my desk. Who is it hurting? Maybe my guts if they step on it, I guess. But like I really think it's such a cliche, but live and let live. Perfect. Enchanting. Short. Sweet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just live and let
Brilliant.
live.
Yeah. Just live. Yeah. I'm going to close out this topic before we get into songs of the week and announcements. I'm going to close out this topic with a story of my own, because you
Oh,
always got your crazy stories, and
hey,
now I got one.
let's not forget that Mr. Frisky Slay was all you, my dog.
I mean, it depends how personal I want to get on this podcast. I could tell some crazier stories, but don't want people coming after me. Um, I was at a restaurant this past weekend. I was at a restaurant with my girlfriend and some other folks, and it was just a regular schmegular, weeknight in Marin, so not particularly exciting. The restaurant was not full. And the table, not immediately next to us, but there was some space in between. It was a table kind of across the room from where we were sitting. It was this older man and a younger couple, and it was unclear how they were all related. And over the course of the evening, this man proceeded to either get super drunk or was maybe stoned the whole time and do singing of I don't know what kind of songs unaccompanied. It was just this old man and his people who were there at the table, and he was singing and chanting and then having philosophical discussions with the other people at the table. And it was just a reminder to live and let live. Was it a little loud and a little disruptive to my crew sitting at our dinner table? Yes. Was it actively harming anyone? Not that I could tell. So, however you want to express yourself and your beliefs, as long as you are not hurting yourself or others, you do you.
Go for it.
Whatever woo woo thing, go for it. Buy the crystals, use the tarot, whatever, watch the astrological predictions on the internet. You do you. It's a crazy world out there, and if that's what you find comfort in,
If that's what gets you through, do it, especially in these troubling times. I think whatever can give us peace and give us joy is well worth it. And if I can give you an astrological recommendation, it would be, as always, Channy Nicholas, the Channy app. You were born for this, is the book, I think, or you were made for this. Sorry, Channy, I forget. But she's very cool. She has a very cool company, very ethical, back to my point about ethics and commerce and where those two intersect. And I think that you will get a lot out of her stuff if you're interested in astrology. And, didn't just get bought out like Schmo Schnar. And we won't speak anymore about that. Okay, next announcements. Friendly reminder, and I promise to the world, I'm putting it out there just to keep me and Olivia focused on this. The link to buy tickets will be on these show notes, will be on our Instagram. And you know what? We're kind of a mess, okay? And so we were figuring it out, but we did. And so we would love to see you September. Olivia, what the fuck is the date? Is it the 26th? I forgot it already.
it's Saturday the 26th
Perfect.
at 2:30.
I got it. I couldn't remember if it was the 26th or 27th. For a second, my brain just died out on me. Look, I have a toddler, okay? I keep her alive. That is my focus. Okay. September 26th, 2:30 at the back room in Berkeley. We're going to be there. We're going to have snacks. It's BYOB, so you can, do you know what I mean? Bring whatever you want, whoever you want. Tickets are $10. We would love to see you live for our live recording. And that's it. We would love to have you there. And tickets are live. So, yay! Okay, Olivia, what have you been listening to?
Woo-hoo! Thank you. Before I get my songs of the week, thank you to our headliner who will also be performing a set.
Technically, we're the
headliner. We're the headliner.
Yeah, we're
opening act. Yeah, I was like, what? Anyway. Thank you to our friend Gabe who will be performing. My songs of the week are they're all B titles. That's weird. Tie between Buttercup and Bambi by Hippocampus. It's more indie stuff that I was into at the end of college and immediately after graduation that just popped into my head and won't leave.
Nice.
Followed by Brunette by one of my favorite drag queens, Alaska Thunderfuck.
Oh.
She used to be blonde, I think. I mean, I haven't been following her entire 20-year career, but she used to be the platinum blonde, and she's brunette now. And she wrote a song about it, and it bangs.
I love that. I will follow that with another Usher. Because the sides of my brain are very interesting to me, and the DJ who lives there makes no sense ever. So, anyways, this week for you, I have Daddy's Home because that's my favorite Usher song. I think it's so ridiculous, and also I just love it. I'm gonna let you say, hey, 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 Daddy. It makes no sense, but I love it. And then For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica because again, another song from songs to get shit done and play on repeat. It gets my brain doing exactly what I need it to. And there's something about that like ding, 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 ding. It's right there. It's my earworm of my productivity earworm, I could say. So that's what we have for you. Hope you enjoy those additions to our playlist. As always, Olivia and I are a wonderful blend of like girly, like play music to play. I guess we could reconsider the marriage between like music you play when you're getting ready with your girls, toddler songs, and like indie indie rock slash miscellaneous.
With the occasional R&B bedroom song
Hey,
just
I would
for
listen to
vibes.
R&B bedroom songs while I'm getting ready with my girls in a very non-gay way. Besides, who's doing the
Uh-huh.
listening? Oh yeah,
Right.
very straightly. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm off to go play with my daughter. Thanks for being here. We will see you next week. Stay messy.
Love you. Bye.